Welcome to the Celsius Talk on EU Smart Cities programs. What is in it for Celsius cities? Some of you may be wondering what Celsius is. The Celsius Initiative is a European project that lives on, based on the premise that cities and districts are in the position to take the lead in the energy transition. About 10 years ago, London and the Islington Borough, Rotterdam, Cologne, Genoa, and the city of Gothenburg came together to create Celsius. Under the patronage of the 7th Framework Program, which is the grandparent of Horizon Europe back in the day, these cities got a project based on 3 pillars. The Celsius Project. We developed innovative solutions for district heating and cooling, but we thought that it wasn't enough to develop these fantastic new technologies and just send a report to the Commission. We needed to have impact. And in order to get that impact, we recruited a network of over 72 cities and 68 city supporters. City supporters were organizations and individuals who were interested in the subject, but were not cities, but we wanted to have them on board anyway. So that's why we created this support, is to support the cities. And of course, everything needs to be organized in the right laws and policies. So we also worked very tightly with the European Commission to take out many of their policies and recommendations. Back then. Our purpose is to accelerate the energy transition in cities through the deployment of smart and sustainable heating and cooling solutions. Of course, with the big goal of supporting the implementation of the Paris Agreement and the Sustainable Development Goals. So what does this mean? Today, Celsius is a demand-driven collaboration hub, and demand-driven is very important for us because we need to work with the cities to help the cities solve the challenges they're facing. We work with efficient integrating heating and cooling solutions. We support the cities in their energy transitions. To help this, we gather and share technical and economic and social expertise, because oftentimes it's not just the technical part, it's the social, it's the funding, it's the getting people on board that is the challenge. And to do this, we help members connect to foster solutions and innovate together. In other words, our philosophy is don't reinvent the wheel. There are solutions out there that have been proven and tested. So to help you access that, we have created the Celsius Toolbox. We assemble these solutions, including practical information, best practices, and lessons learned. To do this, to take it the next step, we try to get our network together, and this is one of the ways we get the network together, for them to exchange and discuss on how we can make this world a better place and combat climate change. Having said that, now let's go to the exciting part. It's an honor to have this fantastic panel of speakers. So thank you, Allan Larsson, Vice Chair of Horizon Europe's Smart Cities Mission. Could you tell us 2 lines about yourself and what you'll be talking about today?
Thank you for inviting me. I'm, as you can see there, Vice Chair of Horizon Europe's Climate Neutral Cities Mission. And I'm in Sweden. I'm chair of a similar mission board called Viable Cities. So I'm in the business of climate neutral cities.
Wonderful. Jelle Jaubin is a researcher in sustainable urban development at VITO.
Yes, hello, good morning. So my name is Jelle Jaubin. I work at VITO, a Flemish research organization, where I am part of the team that works on sustainable buildings and districts. And in that role, I'm also affiliated to Energyville, where 4 Belgian research organizations and universities collaborate in the field of sustainable energy and intelligent energy systems. And I will be presenting today the EIP-SCC Marketplace and the Smart Cities Information System.
Thank you. And Astrid Burhöi, Innovation and Transportation Advisor for the region of Västra Götaland, Brussels office.
Yes, indeed. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Astrid Burhöi, and I work as an advisor for the Swedish region Västra Götaland in Brussels, where my task is to support the region's policies and collaborations with stakeholders around research and innovation. I'm happy to be here.
Great, thank you. And myself. So, Allan, what can you tell us about Horizon Europe's new mission for carbon neutral and smart cities?
So thank you for giving me this opportunity to share the first result of our mission board's work. And the mission that we have suggested is to support, promote, and showcase 100 climate neutral cities by 2030, by and for citizens, and making them innovation hubs for all cities in the run-up to 2050. This is a bold message which our mission board has delivered to the EU Commission. And we are basing this on the report from Professor Mazzucato on missions as drivers of innovation. We are 15 members of the board. We were appointed during the summer. We started our work in September. Most of us had never met before. We worked hard and we delivered our report according to plan before the end of the year. Now we will use the first half of this year to present it for mayors, ministers, and policymakers like you all over Europe. And we are interested to get feedback, and we will work to help the Commission to further develop our proposal. So next slide, please. The first question we met was this: is it realistic to get 100 European cities to achieve in 10 years what the rest of Europe will have to do in 30 years? We believe it is. It's necessary due to the current climate emergency. It's feasible because technology and innovation solutions are available, and more options will become available. It's also feasible as prices and market conditions are moving in the direction that favors climate-friendly investments. It's also feasible thanks to the European Green Deal, which will further strengthen these trends. So next question: how can we, Europe and member states, support cities to make a system transition to climate sustainability? We are launching a couple of new ideas. One is a climate city contract. And the other is a new way of financial support, and we call it the whole financial value chain. Let me explain what we mean. So next picture, next slide, please. Climate city contract is a negotiated contract between the mayor and an EU commissioner in a co-creative process. It will include commitments from the mayor on climate transition. It will include commitments from the EU to support the city with innovation and funding. So this is a new way of working between the Commission and the cities. It should simplify a lot, and it should be a co-creative process. So it should, let me see now, as regards the commitments from the mayor on climate transition, it should also include the support from business, from NGOs, political parties, and academia. It will, as regards the Commission, include funding and what we think should be useful, a one-stop shop for multi-level negotiations to simplify the whole process. So next, the strongest support we can give mayors and their cities is to offer a new holistic financial system instead of the present fragmented system. And the idea is that a climate city contract should open what we call windows to all funding mechanisms, both on EU level and on national level. It's Horizon Europe, European Investment Bank, European Structural Investment Funds, the new Just Transition Fund, and other EU instruments. It should also include national funding. So next question is how to turn barriers into drivers. We identified a number of issues that can be seen as barriers for the transition to climate neutrality. And climate governance is one of them. So cities are organized in silos to run schools, old age care, public transportation, streets and parks. It's fine, necessary, but you can't put climate change in such a silo and hope to get a solution. Cities must develop a holistic approach, what we used to call climate city governance. And as new buildings or new city districts only represent 1% of the built city, cities must focus on the existing 99% to change from fossil to renewable energy in our buildings and our cars. So to change the governance includes also to make cities drivers of innovation. There are too many examples of cities repeating old ideas rather than looking for new ideas and innovation. And then cities have normally well-developed digital strategies. All cities will need to develop digital support to climate governance. And finally, citizens can be powerful drivers for climate action. That is why the subtitle of our report is By and for Citizens. So our main message in our report is that climate emergency must be tackled in cities and by their citizens. Citizens have a huge impact on the environment in their different capacities as consumers, producers, and owners of buildings, for example, housing associations, where you are responsible for energy system, parking places, and owners on transport means, mainly fossil-driven cars. Therefore, we suggest that the climate city contract should give citizens and civil societies an active role, new platforms and resources to act. And there is a huge potential in involving cities in climate action. So then the question is, when we talk about, next please, what do we mean by cities? Is it a city? Is it a city district or an urban area? For the moment, the answer is yes. In this report, we speak of city with 3 different geographical scopes: a city district, a city, or an urban area. And this plurality has been chosen to invite an open process in the shaping and implementation of the mission in each city. Thus, the question, who can apply, will be further discussed, and hopefully our open invitation will become Commission policy. So, what is now, this is a brief presentation of about our thinking and our proposal. So now, what is the next step? The EU Mission Board will continue working during 2020. We already have one meeting, we have one next month, and we will work through the summer and to the end of the year. Our proposal will hopefully be included in the EU Commission's next work program for 2021. And if everything goes according to plan, there will be calls in 2021 for cities to apply. So, next, please. How can cities prepare to become European champions? So, many cities across Europe are already on board for 2030, and the door is open for more cities to join. So, you are most welcome to be part of that. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Allan, for that presentation. As I see, there are no questions from the participants who are in the room about Allan's.
Can you, the sound is low. Can you speak higher?
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, now better.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Allan, for that presentation. And as I see that there are no questions from the participants online or in the room, I would like to ask Jelle, what can you tell us about this EIP Marketplace and how is it a tool and support? How does it support cities in their energy transition?
Yes, thank you. I'm pleased to be able to present the EIP-SCC Marketplace in this webinar. Is it possible to give me control over the slides? Yeah, thank you. That should work. So the EIP-SCC Marketplace, or the European Innovation Partnership on Smart Cities and Communities Marketplace, is a platform of the European Commission that brings together cities, solution providers, and financiers. And as such, it facilitates the delivery of investments in the smart city domain. And besides, there is also the European Smart Cities Information System, or SCIS, which is a database with knowledge from smart city projects that is accessible through our website. I have included the links to both websites on this slide. Currently, there is a step-by-step integration process of SCIS into the marketplace ongoing until SCIS will be completely integrated at the latest end of October 2020. I will explain you in a moment where SCIS fits within the marketplace. But so first, the marketplace. Our approach aims to create an open, collaborative marketplace for smart city solutions at the intersection of transport, energy, and ICT. We want to drive market transformation through the development and replication of solutions at a large scale. So given the focus on energy and ICT, I believe this might be relevant for Celsius partners. The marketplace is supported by action clusters and initiatives. I will come back to this in a minute. And the decisive focus is on engaging all stakeholders and directing all supporting actions, activities, and cooperations to optimally and efficiently advancing from explore over shape towards deal. And we have several so-called enablers at our disposal to facilitate this whole process. The schematic in this slide actually summarizes our approach at the marketplace. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. So now let me zoom in a bit to the different parts of this approach. An action cluster is an assembly of partners committing to work on specific issues related to smart cities by sharing the knowledge and expertise with their peers, and as such giving added value to their national and local experience and identifying gaps that need to be fulfilled at European level. Each action cluster has some thematic initiatives. We currently have 6 action clusters and many people participate in these on a voluntary basis. A new 7th action cluster on deep retrofit is currently starting up, and their work will be supported by the work that is done in SCIS. Then there is the matchmaking funnel consisting of 3 phases: explore, shape, and deal. The explore phase aims at informing people. Everything that we do currently within SCIS will be part of the explore phase. Amongst other things, we have the solution booklets to which I will come back at the end of this presentation, but also summaries of lessons learned for several smart city topics, project portfolios, and an event calendar. In the shape phase, ideas can be developed to become well-defined. Here, the marketplace supports through making available templates, online trainings, and webinars, but also through facilitating the connection between different business partners or between projects and financiers. In the third step, the objective is to come to a deal. In the matchmaking process, we identified 2 types of matchmaking. First, finding the right partners to develop an idea into something that becomes bankable. And second, finding financiers for concrete bankable proposals. Our mindset is that we believe that the biggest deficit is not finance, but good and sufficiently de-risked investment proposals. So meaning proposals at an investment ready level. And the marketplace constantly thinks about how we can facilitate this as much as possible. Now, I would like to zoom in a bit on SCIS, which is part of the explore phase. And as I already mentioned, it supports the action clusters by sharing knowledge and expertise and will be integrated in the marketplace. So here on this slide, you can see on top where the input for SCIS is coming from. In the middle is the work of SCIS itself. And at the bottom, you see who benefits from this work. As input for SCIS serve those projects projects that exist under several programs, being the Concerto program and the Smart Cities and Communities and Energy Efficient Building projects under FP7 and Horizon 2020. And from these projects, the most valuable experiences and knowledge are extracted and summarized on the SEIS platform. The SEIS website also provides the possibility to look for specific projects or to identify projects which implement a specific technology. And the SEIS team also provides policy recommendations. One point which I wanted to mention in particular is a set of solution booklets we are creating. In each booklet, we tackle one specific smart city topic in order to reduce the efforts to implement that specific solution, to speed up the process, to strengthen quality and confidence in outputs, and to align across disciplines. And in general, the solution booklets want to prepare a city to engage the market to acquire a solution. We have now 6 solution booklets online, one of which is on the topic of heat pump driven district heating systems. Another one is on district heating and cooling systems in general. And from that one, I will show you some screenshots at the end of this presentation. I believe these 2 booklets on district heating and cooling might be particularly interesting for all of you who joined this Celsius webinar, of course. In the first place, the SEIS website is oriented towards cities, meaning city administration and decision makers, but it also provides valuable information for many other people, ranging from policymakers to technical experts. So what can SEIS do for you? For anyone, it serves as a one-stop shop where you can find best practices, lessons learned, and links to smart city projects. Cities can learn a lot from the SEIS databases and experiences from other cities. Policymakers, such as people from the European Commission, can find summaries of lessons learned and policy papers during seminars and workshops. Project coordinators can increase the visibility and therefore the impact of their projects. Celsius 1, for example, is in our scope. Celsius 2 isn't, but as you will see in a minute, we do value the work that is performed within Celsius through our solution booklets. So you can see that many people can actually benefit from the SEIS work. So now you know a bit more about SEIS and how it fits in the marketplace. I jump back to the marketplace where we have several enablers in order to facilitate the matchmaking. To name a few, we have matchmaking events where cities, solution providers, and financiers are brought together. The next matchmaking event will take place in Brno, where the EIP-SCC Marketplace team and the lighthouse cities will be present. So this is in Brno, Czech Republic, during the Urbis Smart City Fair, which is taking place on 3rd and 4th of June this year. We also provide several documents such as templates, checklists, or the solution booklets, all to simplify processes and aim for better quality of the output. And we have platforms such as the Marketplace and SEIS, where anyone can find a lot of information. Now, before ending this presentation, I just wanted to give you a snapshot of one of our newest solution booklets, which came online just today. So in this solution booklet, we provide some key information to get started with district heating and cooling systems. And on several locations in this document, we have made reference to the Celsius toolkit. So first, we have included a general introduction to the Celsius toolbox. Then we refer to the stakeholder engagement area when the booklet deals with societal and user aspects of district heating and cooling systems. Then we speak about technical specifications. We also refer to the Celsius technical solutions. Also in the business model and finance chapter, we refer to the toolbox. And in the governance chapter, we refer to policy and planning area of the Celsius toolbox. And finally, at the end of the solution booklet, we have also included it when speaking about other useful sources. So these screenshots just to show you how we tend to avoid to reinvent the wheel and refer to existing sources of knowledge and experience, and to give you an idea about the look and feel of our solution booklets. Now, that was it from my side. I've included some links and contact details on this slide that could be useful. So to the website of the EIP-SCC Marketplace, the website of SCIS, and specifically the link to the solution booklets. So feel free to have a look at these pages. If you would have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch, of course, with me or one of my colleagues. So yeah, that was it. Maybe there are already some questions at this moment.
I actually have a question from one of the SMEs here in the room. Yes.
Hello. Yes, I have a question regarding the database. Is it an open database that can be accessed from everyone, or does it need any password or username or something like that?
On the SCIS website, I think 99% of the information that we gather is available for everyone. So you can just go to the website and access the database with, for example, monitoring data of cities, with the experiences and lessons learned that we collected. This is all publicly available.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. So I believe there are a couple of questions regarding for Mr. Larsson, but I suggest we take them as during the discussion to get the discussion started between you, dear speakers. And so this is the time where we will get the video started. Wonderful. So we're trying this, a new video part, and I am thankful for everybody's patience on this. Let's see, Allan, let's get your video started as well.
Yeah. I tried to start it here, but you can't start your video because the host has stopped it. So you can unlock, please.
Have I stopped your video? Okay. Let's see how we can change that.
Should I maybe, during you are working on the video, Emilia, start with the questions from the audience to you, Allan? Well, there you are.
Yeah.
There you are. Wonderful.
Because I think we should start with the question from the audience.
Absolutely.
That's why we are here today. And there are actually two questions for you, Allan.
Yeah.
And one is regarding the city's missions. Which DG is involved, and in which program will the cities apply for being one of the 100 cities?
I think it's too early to say. This is a Horizon Europe new set of initiatives. So mission is the new element in the Horizon Europe, and it's further development from challenges. So how it will be introduced, that remains to be seen. So what we have to do is to present the ideas for it, and then the Commission will take care of that and put it into the work plan, and then there will be calls. So for the moment, this is what I can say.
Okay, I hope that was clear enough. Then there's a second question, and that is that it's mentioned that the report was delivered to the Commission. And then the question is it publicly available already, or is it only for the Commission?
No, it's available. You will find it on EU Commission mission boards. There are 5 missions. Ours is one. Then there's one on adaptation. There's one on cancer, one on oceans, and one on soil, health, food. So 5 areas where the Commission would like to work in a new way. And our report is available. I don't know about the other missions if they have delivered yet, but we delivered it in December and it has been put on the website. So you are welcome to pick it up and read it and make comments to it.
We will do so. Then I will start with a question for you, Jelle. And I know that you haven't directly worked so much with citizens engagement, but your colleagues have do so. And since this is a very, I would say, important part of the missions to get the research and innovation being closer to citizens, and citizen engagement is a big part of the mission. I was wondering if you have any advice to give for the citizens missions on how to best engage citizens in the process.
Yes, that's an interesting question because I believe citizen engagement will play a crucial role in achieving our ambitious targets on the European level. We will definitely need support from whole society to tackle the challenges that we face. So, what is important in citizen engagement? First of all, I would say be aware of what it is that you want to achieve, and see what methodologies and tools you will need on a citizen engagement level in order to facilitate achieving your goals. Also be aware that engagement is a result of a continuous and sometimes long-term process of creating trust and convincing people. So this long-term process should also surpass the classic 4 to 6 year cycles of elections within the city. It should really be a long-term trust-creating process. What else? Make sure there is enough capacity available. Capacity as in people who can spend time on the citizen engagement processes, but also financial capacity. And as Allan already mentioned in his presentation, I think cutting across the silos is crucial to have sufficient impact. These are some that pop up in my mind right now, but I would suggest that you have a look also at the experiences, lessons learned page on the SIS website, where we actually have a dedicated page to citizen engagement. So that might be interesting as well.
And I will actually continue because you received also a question from the audience. I will read it because it's quite long, so I'm not making any mistakes. What sorts of projects can be included in the SCIS? Anything smart cities related? The reason I ask is that we have some emerging work in London we might be keen to share on this platform using nature-based solution linked to innovative water and wastewater engineering to create non-portable water network to supply new housing development.
Okay.
I think you can find it, read if it was too long to.
Yeah, I have read together with you the question. So within SCIS, we have a specific scope which is set at the beginning of the project. And as I mentioned, these are the Concerto projects and the FP7 and Horizon 2020 projects on smart cities and communities and energy efficient buildings. So this scope is fixed. But I believe that specifically for you, this the connection with the marketplace might be most relevant. Our focus in the core of our focus is on energy, ICT, and not so much on the water-based solutions, if I remember correctly, that you mentioned. But so I see it here, water and wastewater engineering. If this is related to energy, it would definitely fit within the scope. But I think that from SCIS and the marketplace would be the most relevant platform for you to engage with and to get in touch in order, for example, to get in touch with solution providers, to find financiers and so on. Hope that's an answer to your question.
Anyways, please write again. Then I will continue with a question for you, Allan. And because you said that this in end will be a contract between one mayor and one commissioner. So how can this then be assured that other successful projects and initiatives such as Celsius and the marketplace will be used, that we're not reinventing the wheel, but we are using the knowledge that's already existing in this field? Since in the end, the contract will be made by the city mayor. how can we make sure that already existing networks will be used in this process?
I'm in agreement that we should not invent the wheels. We have a lot of wheels to use in Europe, and Celsius has certainly done a good job in this respect. So what I think is that when I think about it, so it's not my views, it is not formally the mission board, but my view is that the contract is for a period of up to 10 years. The first year is a period when we negotiate the contract. That is a very formative period in which we can then involve other programs, what is already done. We have the Celsius program, we have Jelle's program, we have the climate kick, we have a lot of others. We have now the positive energy districts. So a lot of things are there that could be included in such a package. So what the Commission can do is not only to help funding, but also to deliver innovation that is available. So that is the idea. That's a wealth of innovation. And I think that we can solve a lot of the climate crisis by using existing technologies. We can see that there will be new innovation coming on stream, but what we already have, if it is implemented, it will take a big part of it. So welcome to deliver from Celsius and from Jelle's program to cities. And certainly some of the cities that you have, I expect that they will be applying for part of this.
And then fantastic technique is telling me that there is actually a question maybe from one of the SMEs in the room with you, Emilia.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Hey.
Yeah, so obviously these projects are all urban focused initially, which is that's where most people live and where there's the most potential for emissions reduction. But I was wondering how, the interaction between urban areas and rural areas come into the project, because most renewable energy sources come from outside the city, whether it's wind, solar, or hydro. So I guess how will that come into the project, since you can't define a neat boundary around, say, the urban area, and also how will rural areas benefit from these projects?
So is it to me?
Whoever can answer me. Everybody.
Well, our mandate, the mission board, is on cities or urban areas or city districts. So they are certainly dependent on energy from outside. And I think that most mayors, they focus on issues where they have a capacity to act. They can influence the built city, the use of energy in the built city. They have an influence on impact on transportation, mobility. And mobility is a big thing in terms of climate transition. So that is where the focus is. Then governments have the responsibility to transform the energy systems so that cities can get renewables and other climate neutral energy forms. So we can't deal with everything. We will deal with what we can focus on and what the mayor can focus on. Was that an answer? Or do you need more?
Maybe from a regional perspective, I can add that I find this very interesting, because I see that to really make it work, we need a lot of different stakeholders, also around the city, of course, so different businesses, but also the regions, I believe, have a big role to play, even if it will not be the main actor, to support the cities that will be included in this program, to help out and to be a facilitator for the transitions.
Regions, I think, have a lot of responsibilities for transportation and mobility. So I think in cities and surrounding towns and municipalities, they are linked together in the transport system, and therefore you have to have the wider responsibility and cooperation in one form or another. I think in Västra Götaland, it is the region that is responsible for the transport policies, and therefore they have to be part of it.
Indeed. Jelle, do you have anything to add
Yeah,
on this?
I wanted to say, I think the fact that the question is raised is already a first good point, because that means that we are aware of this challenge of connection between cities, urban areas, and the hinterland. A second thing then is that since we are aware of the challenge, I think it might be important to really take it on and address it early on in the process. For example, when talking about this city contracts within the program, that it is taken into account how this challenge of having sufficient renewable energy imported towards the urban area will be tackled in the process.
So sorry, I missed the question. Can you please repeat it?
It was not a question, but it was more
Okay.
of a suggestion that I think that it's important that we take into account these challenges at the beginning of the processes, and then we shouldn't be afraid to address them.
Okay, I agree. What we try to do is to create a governance system, including funding, which is a new way of working, more directly between the Commission and the city, rather than going into the main areas of transition, like energy, transport, mobility, or recycling. That will be addressed by the cities themselves, according to their plans and programs and so on. But we try to shape this new way of working, of co-creation between the Commission and the city, and offer a good funding basis for it. So I will have tomorrow meeting with the Vice President of the European Investment Bank. I have it on national level too, to discuss how these institutions now can get into this process and deliver solutions. So what we call the windows between the contract and the financial systems. That is what we now have to discuss to see how can we design that so it will be easy for cities to go into this.
And for me, which follows up a little bit, I mean, I think it's of course a great goal to have 100 cities, but the aim afterwards is also, of course, to have the whole Europe for 2050 is a bit further down the line. So how have you discussed how you will use these lighthouses also to inspire other cities, and how the different solutions used will be kind of promoted wider? So this will be well known for the rest of Europe. Will there be some kind of, it's a bit like the marketplace where you can find information? Have you discussed, I mean, how the knowledge transfer should be done?
So a lot of good questions, but they remains to be addressed. We worked 3 months, starting in September, delivering our report on the 13th of December. So we did a very quick job. We had 5-6 meetings during that time. So we delivered. But a lot of issues are still to be discussed. And that includes what you now addressed. But many others. So for example, what is the criteria for applying for it? One important issue, and many others. And so not least this, how to define what a window between financial resources and a climate city contract is. These are to be discussed. So we will have a full agenda during this year. But hopefully at the end of the year, we have answers to your questions. So the next webinar, I can hopefully answer your questions.
And just quickly, will the board be, I mean, is your work done in 2021 when hopefully the first mission will be launched, or will you continue working as a kind of an expert board helping the mayors and the cities also further down the process?
The answer is yes and no. Well, yes, there will be a board from 2021, but this board has been appointed for 1.5 years.
Okay.
So it is up to the Commission whether they will put new people in or they will use some of us for the next stage. So there is the idea, there is a commitment from the Commission to have the board of this sort to help to shape or to help to implement this mission on climate neutral cities.
And Jelle, do you have some advices regarding this of lighthouses and how to spread information further to the followers? Other cities?
I think we currently have some strong networks that exist. I think about Lighthouse community or the Celsius network. There are many more. These are important, but at the same time, we should constantly be attentive not to limit ourselves to the existing networks. We all should spread the word. Also, collaboration is important. So we should not be reluctant to ask for help and experiences from others, as is mentioned already a couple of times. We should avoid to reinvent the wheel. So sharing knowledge and experiences is key in this. And this really is a common responsibility of all of us involved in those projects.
Can I come up with a suggestion?
Please.
So I think that what you have done in Jelle, in your program, and what Celsius has done or is doing, what the Climate Kick is doing, what the 100 positive energy districts are doing, they are a great number of cities now involved. They are not covering everything, but a lot of important elements are already there. So who can put together an overview of which these cities are and what they have done, very briefly, but to say, here is now, because we have a discussion in the board, say, is it possible to get 100 climate neutral cities? Are there interest in Europe for it? I think it's a great interest for it. But I would like to show it by pointing out that these are already on the move. And they have done that and that and that. And they need to scale up and complete it with other initiatives. But this would be very useful to have an overview of those cities that you are working with. So if that would be possible, I think that could be perfectly in the framework of the Celsius initiative. Could it be so?
I think that would definitely be possible to...
Or could you do that, Jelle?
I could definitely do it for the projects within our scope.
Yeah.
I'll have a look into that.
Good.
But let's
because if you do that, you pick out your cities and say these are on the move, they are in the front line and so on, and they've done this. And if Celsius can do the same, then I can ask the people in Climate Kick, and I have the contacts also with the positive energy districts. So that it means that we have in several programs of this sort an indication of cities that could be good partners in the new climate neutral cities program.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that strengthening the links between all those initiatives is a very good step forward. So yeah. I'll look into that.
Okay. So let's work on that. And if you have other programs that you know about, I'm trying to learn as much as possible about what's going on. And it's a number of initiatives in different directions. Now we try to bring them together in this climate city contracts and making it a powerful instrument for the implementation of the transition. And that's good then to know where the best players are and what they are doing.
I think this is a great outcome already from this webinar, right? That we are helping Allan to manage this project. I regarding a bit about the cities, because I think, Jelle, that there's 120 cities involved in, I think I read somewhere. And regarding to this and the 100 cities, I know normally the Horizon Europe is based on excellence only. But for this 100 city, is it important, and I'm addressing both of you, to have all EU countries represented? That there should be one city in each member state, or should it only be excellence that should be the criteria?
Whether every country should be involved, I think that the answer to that question might go both ways, but the excellence question, I think we need to be aware of the fact that we have some very big cities, think about Paris, London, that have a lot of capacity, but on the other hand, we also have medium and very small cities, and all of them will have to go through the transition. So I think in one way or another, we should try, when investing public money in stimulating innovation, to gain knowledge on both the big cities and the smaller cities, the stronger ones and the maybe weaker ones, so that in the end, by 2050, we can achieve the transition in the whole of Europe, and not just for, I don't know the exact number, but maybe 40% of citizens living in the bigger cities. I think this is crucial.
Allan, do you have any?
Yes. Yeah, can I add that we have discussed this question. We have not written about it in the report, but I have the feeling that there is a support for the idea that every member state should have at least one city in the program. So even Malta and Luxembourg should be in for it. And then I think bigger countries will have more of this. The question is, should it be excellence or should it be other criteria for it? I mean, certainly it must be a city where they have an ambitious plan. They should be committed. They should be able to mobilize business, academia, NGOs, and so on. And they should have proved that they are on the move. I think these are things that we'll discuss that in the near future to see how criteria should be. But I think it's not only, we are not in the area of research innovation, we are also in the area of implementation.
Mm.
And therefore, we have to balance between excellence and ability to perform.
Well, the time is ticking. Do you, both of you, have some final words you want to say before we leave it to Emilia to finalize the webinar? Would you want to start, Jelle? Some final concluding words?
It was a pleasure to join this webinar. I think the discussion was very interesting. Some interesting questions came forward. And I would say keep on going, keep the effort high to make the transition in Europe happen by 2030, by 2050, but keep on making it happen.
I agree. It was nice to be part of this. It was a new experience for me. And if we can continue from this webinar and be in contact and see how different cities can be interested, and where you have done already things that can be a sort of a step in the right direction for this, it would be good. And as I said, I think that the first period, let's say, if there's a call in 2021, and then a year for co-creation, that means that cities commission will work, and then all your experience should be taken in that process. So thank you very much for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to bring you on board as co-creators.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much to all three of you for taking the time and being here. I think it's been a fascinating discussion. I see many heads around the room nodding and smile, so I'll interpret that as a good sign. Thank you for our speakers. I will now stop the recording, if I can find out how. Here you are. Stop. No. I apologize. Thank you for your patience. But so just while I figure this out, I would like to remind everybody that this is going to be